Welcome back. Today we are going to look at how do you delegate in the most effective manner. Delegation is the most important skill. It frees up your time, frees up your resources, allows you to do what you should do best. It's a skill that whether you are a first time manager or whether you are a CEO, it's a skill which is going to help you humongously in any level of the organization. But many people don't get it. Many people are worried that the job will not get done unless they do it very well. And many times that fear, that strive towards doing it well, the strive towards perfectionism makes them very inadequate in terms of delegation. So how do you go about doing it? But before getting into how to delegate, let's look at the why to delegate. Because when the why is clear, when the purpose is clear, a lot of things fall in place. Why you should delegate? The answer is obvious, simple, self explanatory, but let's look at it. One, when you delegate, it frees up your time. And therefore, you are able to focus on what only you can do. Number two, when you delegate, you are also able to get a lot more things done because so suddenly, instead of one person, that is you, there are several yous available, and therefore your time, capability, bandwidth actually suddenly exponentially increases depending on the number of people you have. Number three, this is the way to groom your team, train your team, and make every one of them exactly like you so that you have many more capable people in your team who can take up ownership, who can take up job, who can take up the work responsibility going forward. So with all of these three axes, which is increasing your bandwidth, focusing on your own, what you can do best, and ensuring more people are like you, capable like you, on all of these, these three axes, it's very important that you definitely delegate. But how do you go about doing it? That's what we're going to see now. The very first step is what can be delegated. There are certain things that you can't delegate. If you are, let's say, a senior manager in a firm, then your job function is to think through, conceive the project, put it and give it a shape. You don't want to delegate that function, but what you want to delegate is actually getting it done. So there could be functions that you want to delegate. For example, there is, let's say, I'm shooting this video and taking this as an example. I don't want to delegate the function of speaking because that is what I love to do. That is what I want to do. That I think is I'm a little more capable of doing that than anybody else. But do I want to do the video editing? There are better people than me who can edit videos properly. So I want to delegate the video editing part. Similarly, in any job, there are things that only you can do very well. There are other parts that other people can do it very well. More importantly, you may not have the bandwidth to do that. And if you get into doing all of that, the core job of what you want to do, what only you can do, suffers. So you need to identify things where you are the most capable person to do it. What are those things? That is what you should do. You should not delegate, and everything else you should delegate. Initially, if you are running your own company, if you are new to the job, if you are one of the early members of a new startup and so on and so forth, you may not have too many people who can do the other parts of the job. So you may end up doing everything yourself. The problem is over a period of time also, when the company grows, when there are many people who can do it, you still are clinging on to what you were doing earlier and you are not delegating effectively. You are not delegating it as much as you should be delegating. So think about it. The simple guideline is what is it that only you can do? You should not delegate. What is it that somebody else can do it better? You should delegate. So that is how you are going to find out what is to be delegated. Next step is who can do this, whom this to be delegated. Identifying that person is what makes it very difficult because that person should be capable, that person should be trustable, this person should be reliable, and that person is somebody who has a hunger to do it, who has a hunger and the talent and the skill sets to grow into the job. You want to have that person, but it's not always easy to find that person. But that's where the talent acquisition and talent finding and talent identification of any organization comes in. But suppose you have a team, it's important to grow confidence in the team. You need to train the team, you need to talk to them, you need to tell them exactly why you are communicating this, exactly why you are delegating this, exactly why you think these people are the best people who can do that part of the job. You need to explain that. But when you find the right person, when you are able to train that person, when you are able to have the confidence in that person, when you are able to ensure that you stay away, let the person struggle with whatever he has to do, will let the person find out his own way of doing that part of the job without meddling too much into his area, what is called as micromanagement. You are inspiring confidence in the person. You are ensuring that the person is set up for success and the person can grow into the job. And it's important to do all of this so that the person, over is identified person, is able to do his part of the job and also understand overall how everything fits together so that he is able to do his job, so that he is able to free up your time. The third part is all about communication, and this is where a lot of things goes for a toss. You need to communicate very, very clearly what are the things that you are trying to achieve, not the micro steps. Micro steps also needs to be done in the early stages of one's career, but you need to paint a larger picture. Why are you doing this? What is the benefit of doing this step in this manner compared to any other manner? And what is the context? Why are we doing this? And how that person's work is going to fit in with your work, and how all of this figure together fits in with the overall purpose of the company. When you paint that picture, people are able to understand why they are doing what they're expected to do. And that why, that purpose provides a lot of understanding so that the person, when he needs or she needs a clarification, doesn't have to run back to you. They can figure out on their own because they understand how it is meshing with what you are doing and how everything together meshes with what the organization is doing. So they can more often than not figure out what they need to do. And sometimes they will come back to you and you will be able to provide guidelines. But communication becomes very important. Providing that purpose, providing that context, providing some of the steps which are crucial, which should not be violated at all, which are organizational principles, organizational beliefs and philosophy, some of the do's and don'ts, what has happened in the past, why we are doing like this, what all they can think of. Providing all of this context ensures that the person understands why you are asking them to do in a particular manner and why you are allowing them the freedom to think in other manners also. That freedom, that empowerment also ensures that they all think on their own feet and grow into their job to become better and better as time goes by, as they get experience. Next step is inspiring confidence. You've chosen the right person. You've chosen the right job to be delegated. You have chosen the right person to be delegated. You have communicated with the person. The next step is obviously empowering them and giving them confidence. It's not easy. This is where a lot of good managers also fail because the moment they see something going wrong, they rush in and try to do it, grab it back and try to do it themselves because they think that work is important. Yes, work is important, but so is inspiring confidence, so is training the person, so is getting things through that person also is important. Sometimes it is forgotten in the rush of things, in the delivery of things. So even if it is tempting for you to grab it back and do it yourself, just stay back, allow the employee to do the mistake as long as it's not a very costly mistake. There are boundaries, you need to play within the boundaries, but as long as it's not a costly mistake, as long as it can be recovered, as long as it can be done, redone. Allow them to do the mistakes because people learn from doing and people learn from making mistakes. A child falls many times before it stands up. A child falls many times before it starts walking. Similarly, all of us are like children when we start learning the first steps of the new job and learn the next steps of the next job. So it is important that we are allowed to fail, and it is important that you allow them to fail. Give them feedback where they went wrong, what they could have done better, and why you did not interfere even when you saw them making mistake, because it is important for you to allow them to figure out what is it that they can learn by themselves, what is it that they can correct by themselves. That's important, and that is why you have not interfered, but these are your observations. This is what they could have done differently. This is what you appreciate what they have tried. This is what you want them to think differently from now onwards. When you provide that feedback, people learn, people also appreciate the autonomy and the freedom that you are giving and the feedback that you are giving, and they start trusting you. It's a two-way process. You start trusting them, they will also start trusting you. But communicate as to why you are placing the trust, communicate as to what feedback you are giving and why you are giving it, so that they understand the entire process fully. When you do all of this, and let's recap the steps that we have done. What needs to be delegated? Who is the right person that who can take up this part of the job and who can do it, who has the right skills, who has the right mental ability, who has the right attitude, and who wants to grow in the organization. All of this put together, you identify the right person to be the job can be interested to. And when you set them up for success, when you have the right communication with them, when you tell them the context, when you tell them, paint them the bigger picture, how the entire thing measures with yours and with the organization, how to go about it, what you can expect them to do. Provide them training, provide them feedback, provide them continuous, constant coaching without meddling in what they are doing. It provides and ensures that there's a wonderful atmosphere in the company where people can learn and trust you. When there is learning, when there is trust, growth becomes tremendous, and you would start enjoying what you are doing. You would also start enjoying what your team is doing, and your team would start respecting you. More than that, your team would start loving you, and that is when you would have that entire fulfillment happening of, oh, I've done a great job in this project, great job in this company, and that sense of fulfillment, sense of contentment would come. Wishing you all the very best. Signing off. See you in our next episode.